You were very impressed by somebody over at the NASTC conference, were you not?
Danielle Chaffin was there. Yes, we met very briefly, as a matter of fact, but she was all over that place. And well, I had a chance to talk with her briefly there up in Nashville at the NASTC conference a couple weeks ago. And I invited her on the show, and she's about to show up.
DanielleChaffin.com, maybe Danielle on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn is where you can find her. It may be Danielle on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And she joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being with us here. We can jump into a couple of other things. We have a short time right here, but I'm almost sure we're going to ask you back again for maybe a longer discussion, get into more details about some things. But you're a third-generation trucking professional. You are a senior solutions engineer at Revenova. And
Yep.
tell us a bit
Revenova.
about what you do there. And then I'd really like to maybe get a takeaway from you on the event up in Nashville at NASTC.
Yeah, absolutely. Senior Solutions Engineer at Revenova. I work with our sales team. I've been doing that position for the past 2 years. The first of my 4 years at Revenova, I was on the customer support, customer success side, building out all of our training, documentation, and videos, customer community, if you will. But now I'm on the sales team, and I get to demo our product. It's a TMS for trucking companies, freight brokerages, shippers, or any of the combination of the three.
One of the things that we saw and heard a lot about, and you did too up at the NASTC conference, was fraud. And did I mention fraud? It seems to be it's become the buzzword now in a sense. I say that offhandedly, of course. But what was your what was an overriding thing for you up at NASTC this year?
Yeah, I think freight fraud is definitely a buzzword, and that's actually what caught my attention into all of it and started digging into it because I don't like buzzwords. So I just started digging into it, and I think there's so much still today that's unknown and that people are aware of that when you go to a conference like NASTC, it is the theme, and we want to make sure that we're giving out the information to those attendees of what's really going on in the marketplace versus what you're not hearing, maybe from vendors or hearing from those tech companies that are trying to solve the problem. So just getting the information out there and what's happening, especially to those small trucking companies. There's a lot going on right now. I have at least, at minimum, I would say, 2 reports a week of someone trying to impersonate or use the DOT number of a small carrier because their history is good, their safer record looks phenomenal, and the fraudsters want to use their numbers, their information to book freight.
And those companies too, they kind of run under the radar too. In other words, when you see these names, the size of truck, it doesn't ring any bells anywhere. It kind of floats through in the middle of it all, I think, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if I'm understanding both of you correctly, if I'm hearing what y'all are saying, you're talking about small trucking companies with impeccable records who have great reputations among their providers, who still haven't made enough friends to be household names, but have impeccable records. So what they're doing, they're targeting people who are doing everything right, who are on their way up, and taking advantage of their gold star sort of presence. Am I hearing that correctly?
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. And we have a lot of small trucking companies that have an established customer base. Maybe they only run for one customer, and that's all that they do. They have a dedicated run, same customer. It's been the same customer for 12 years. And then the fraudsters will go in and start trying to haul freight using their company name, their company information, and of course that DOT number, and then insurance.
Because the discussion, I think, and I'll be talking to one of our guests later on about this as well too. The discussion, I think, the best way to indemnify yourself against fraud, I would love your take on this, is to figure out how close you. Everybody is susceptible to fraud, but it's to figure out or if you are uniquely one of those people that gets targeted. Is to take a good look at your company and say, do I check off a couple of boxes? And then when you check off those boxes, is to make sure those boxes have firewalls between you and the fraudsters. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the greatest risks, there are emails that go out that look like they're from the FMCSA, and it will be asking you to update something or click here to sign in. And as soon as the carrier or the wife, the husband, someone clicks on that link and logs into the FMCSA, their portal, the fraudsters, which are truly criminals, but those criminals will now have their credentials and they can log in and change anything they want.
How do we begin the bit by bit, piece by piece action to stop this? I mean, it's like it feels like there are so many ways this can be done. A friend of mine got hacked the other week, and the complexity of the fraud they enacted upon him because of an email I got, quote unquote, from him with me as the BCC, it was brilliant. They put a lot of stuff together. They got a lot of information to make it happen. What can we do as an industry to really kind of turn the tide on this?
I think there are some short-term actions that we can take, which are really Band-Aid solutions. And then I think at the FMCSA level, putting in more security to who's logging in to the FMCSA account, which will, I don't know, probably take years at the speed the government works. But that short-term action is, if you're a carrier and you get an email that looks like it's from the FMCSA, make sure it's actually from the FMCSA. From what I know, they really hardly ever send out emails asking you to update anything. And then B, on the receiving end, if you're a freight broker, if you're a shipper, anyone else getting emails from carriers, double, triple check that email address, make sure it's the right one. And if you have any doubts, call the carrier at their actual phone number, not the one in the email.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is great advice. And that's a great place to kind of break off right here. But we're already going to ask you to come back, and we want to know more about Highway Veritas. That's the freight fraud investigation and intelligence firm that you founded. So there's a lot more to talk about, Danielle, that's for sure.